Caitlin Clark earns major honor over Serena Williams, Coco Gauff, Simone Biles, and Dawn Staley. The rise of Caitlin Clark has been a unidirectional ascent that has taken every avenue by storm. Starting with her storied career at Iowa, she became an icon for women's sports, a tradition that has continued with her as she has come to the WNBA. Now setting records with the Indiana Fever, she's turned the franchise, and by extension the league as a whole, on its head. With popularity, ticket sales, and ratings surging, she has become a significant force in women's basketball. Thanks to her contributions, Clark earned a major honor above some of the biggest names in women's sports. Caitlin Clark earns rare review. The 2025 season did not go according to plan for Clark. Injuries kept her shifting in and out of the lineup for Indiana before she was officially ruled out for the season with a groin injury. Even without her, the Fever were able to go on a monstrous run through the playoffs and pushed the eventual champions, the Las Vegas Aces, to the brink in the semifinals. However, the impact she's had on women's sports wasn't undersold one bit. Moreover, on the latest edition of Forbes' Top 25 Most Powerful Women in Sports, Clark found herself at the number 4 spot. The highest among all active athletes, she beat out legendary names like Simone Biles, 18, Coco Gauff, 13, Dawn Staley, 20, and even Serena Williams, 11. The only 3 names above her were those of executives and owners, who had been given the nod by the illustrious website. Those names were, in order, the owner of the New Orleans Saints and the New Orleans Pelicans franchise, Gail Benson, the CEO of FanDuel, Amy Howe, and the brand president of Nike, Amy Montaigne. With regards to Clark, Forbes wrote, Caitlin Clark has turned her record-breaking college basketball career into early dominance in the WNBA. Her estimated $8.1 million in income from her rookie season with the Indiana Fever was bolstered by big deals with Nike, Wilson, and Gatorade, and signals a shift in how female athletes are being valued in the world of professional sports. Even addressing the injury, they added, the injury doesn't change the fact that Clark has, in the last 2 years, been the spark that lit the match that set women's sports on fire. While she wasn't able to have a substantial impact on the court for Indiana during the season, her star continues to shine as bright as ever. Thanks to the influx of talent into the league, spearheaded by the former Rookie of the Year, the players have a newfound voice in the WNBA that could impact the league in a major way and get the players the salaries they are rightfully owed. As the CBA negotiations continue, the overwhelmingly positive consequences of Clark's popularity are being felt across the WNBA. Nobody expected the room to go silent quite like that, not with so many giants sitting in the front rows, their shadows alone heavy enough to tilt the stage lights. Yet as the announcer paused, her voice trembling with theatrical suspense, the atmosphere inside the gleaming auditorium felt suspended, like the moment before a final buzzer-beating shot. Serena Williams was seated in a tailored black suit, serene as ever, her expression unreadable but her presence unmistakable. Coco Gauff leaned slightly forward, hands clasped with a mixture of youthful curiosity and growing legend. Simone Biles sat with her signature smile, small in stature but larger than life, while Dawn Staley radiated the quiet confidence of a coach who had already shaped empires. And then there was Caitlin Clark, Indiana Fever star, college phenomenon turned global lightning rod, the player who had turned basketball arenas into pilgrimage sites. She didn't sit in the front row. She chose a seat somewhere slightly behind, almost too aware of the towering names around her. If anyone noticed the faint tap of her fingers along her dress hemline, they might have mistaken it for nervousness. But it wasn't nerves. It was the rhythm of a heartbeat that had chased greatness for years. The host's voice finally echoed. And the recipient of this year's Pinnacle Impact Honor, awarded to the athlete who has reshaped the cultural, economic, and global identity of their sport, is Caitlin Clark. A single gasp cracked through the room, followed by a swell of applause so thunderous it felt unreal. The camera swiveled, lights homing in on her like heat-seeking beams. Caitlin blinked once, twice, and for a moment she seemed frozen. Not because she didn't expect success, she lived with expectations every day, inhaling them like oxygen, but because she understood exactly who she had been named over. Serena Williams, a titan whose shadow still blankets tennis courts across the world. Coco Gauff, the rising force of a new generation. Simone Biles, the gravity-defying icon whose name had become synonymous with excellence itself. Dawn Staley, the architect of modern women's basketball greatness. To even be listed among them felt like a lifetime achievement. To win over them? It bordered on surreal. Still, Caitlin rose. As she walked toward the stage, the applause evolved, not noisy, but meaningful, a drumbeat of respect rather than shock. Serena nodded at her with an approving smile, the kind that only comes from someone who recognizes a spark they'd once carried themselves. Biles gave her a thumbs up. Gauff mouthed something that looked like, "Go get it." Dawn Staley clapped with the pride of a coach who had watched the sport she loves grow new wings. Caitlin's heels clicked softly on the polished stage floor, but the silence that followed her arrival spoke louder than any ovation. "Wow," she whispered into the mic, adjusting it slightly. "This is a room that people dream about just being in. And somehow I'm standing here accepting an honor named next to legends." She paused, eyes drifting toward Serena first. "When you grow up," she continued, "you imagine your heroes as distant constellations, too far away to touch. Tonight, I realize those constellations aren't distant at all. They're right in front of me. And they're clapping for me. That's something I'll never forget." The audience laughed softly, warmly. "But this award isn't about being the best athlete," she added. "It's about impact, and that's something I never set out to create consciously. I just played the game I loved, loudly and unapologetically, and somehow the world decided to watch." Images of sold-out arenas, jersey streaks, television records, and viral moments flashed behind her on a large screen, proof of how fully she had captured the public imagination. "Basketball gave me a voice," Caitlin said. "But the fans, they gave me volume." She exhaled, overcome for a moment. And to win an honor over athletes like Serena, Coco, Simone, and Coach Staley? That doesn't mean I'm greater. It means the world is finally wide enough to celebrate all kinds of greatness, across sports, across generations, and across stories. A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. She straightened slightly, her confidence settling into place like a well-practiced shooting form. "If I've brought new eyes to women's basketball, then I'm grateful," she said. "But I'm also aware I'm following a trail carved by the women sitting right here. Women who broke ceilings so high we didn't even realize they were ceilings. Women who fought battles so I could focus on shooting threes instead of breaking barriers." She glanced at Serena again, then Simone, Coco, and Dawn. "This award has my name on it," she said, "but it belongs to all of us."